I would like to introduce you.
Hello, who's here?
Hello,
Hi.
trying to unmute.
Is Jim here?
Elisabetta prima d'Inghilterra. Elisabetta prima d'Inghilterra, Caterina di Russia, Maria de' Medici, Cleopatra.
What
Or my
language do you use? Who was that?
Somebody had a foreign language on.
Yeah. Oh, that was
Hi, everybody.
Oh,
Glad you could be with us.
there you
So,
are. Hi, Jim.
I suppose all the other members of the group are trick-or-treating tonight or defending their homes from marauding youngsters. But Doris, it's always good to see you.
You
Betty,
too, Jim. Thank you.
Mitch,
Nice to see you too.
and Joel. Is your buddy going to be with us tonight, Joel? Okay, you're muted. Oh, it's Mitch's friend. Mitch, you have a friend. Oh, he pointed to the other window. Okay.
Yeah,
It's not the woman next to you. It's the guy in the other window. Well, there's a woman next to you.
My friend is in Indonesia right now, so he can't join us.
Oh, okay. Then Mitch and Joel, you're not connected, you two?
What?
Their brother-in-law.
He wants
Okay.
to know if Joel and I are connected. Dr. Jaspin is my brother-in-law.
Oh, okay. I guess that's a connection.
Sort
There's a Yiddish word for that, but I don't like to use it. Don't have any yet. Arlene, always good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Are you home in Palm Springs or here in LA? Lower left corner.
This is in Palm Springs.
You're muted. Arlene, you're muted.
Arlene, you're looking for Arlene? She's muted. Yeah.
Lower left corner, the red line through the microphone. All right, you can come back and say hi when you're done. Jeffrey, good to see you. Howard, I saw that picture of an 8-year-old physicist. Is that what they looked like a few years ago? You're muted. I have plenty of pictures of myself at that age too that I don't share.
That was the Nobel Prize winner.
I see. Okay. Well, it's after 7:30, so let's get started. I really didn't want to take notes on this film because I thought it was so good. Did people like it? Was it time appropriate?
Oh, very time appropriate.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Really a remarkable film. This was Mike Nichols' second to last film. After a too short career that was quite illustrious. His last film was called Charlie Wilson's War, which is based on a real American politician who did some heroic feat with the State Department. Basically it was Charlie Wilson carried on a sort of undercover romance with Julia Roberts, who was a wealthy Texan. And, it's like he couldn't give up. He had to do another one. So I'd rather start with your comments. Doris, what were yours?
Oh,
Your reaction to it?
don't start with me. I'm gonna get this soaked in. I did find it was very topical for today. I mean, it was the characters were interesting and the whole thing was good. I don't know, I'm lost for words. I don't know. Go
Okay,
to
it
somebody
was
else.
based on Bill Clinton's affair with Monica Lewinsky was sort of the idea that
Oh, is
spawned the
that what that
movie.
was? Oh, okay.
Yeah. By the way, it said based on a novel by Anonymous. So,
That was Joe Klein.
oh, was it Joe
Yeah,
Klein?
it came out later.
I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And what did you think of it, Betty?
I liked it a lot. I thought he sounded exactly like Bill Clinton. I was amazed at how well he imitated Bill Clinton. What I have to say though is I think what I sent in an email to you was I liked this movie a lot. I thought it was very well done. What's really disturbing is at the time that it originally came out, I think there was a lot of concern about the ethics in politics, and basically the ethics are so much worse now that
What
that was
ethics?
very disturbing.
What ethical behavior? Yeah, that's what makes it topical, but we'll come back to that because that's a theme, you know. It's sort of plastered all over the movie and squeezed into scenes, and you don't even notice how pointed
What
this
do you
film
do
is
if
about the
it's
morality of what these people are about to
not
do.
like I could put the bandage or anything on it?
To put-
Uh,
I'm not gonna,
Howard, please mute.
that would
Howard,
be
please
very
mute.
bad.
Mitchell, what was your take on it?
Oh, sorry.
I'm not a John Travolta fan, and I've never been a John Travolta fan. I don't like his manner of acting, but and I thought it was interesting as a side of it that for years, Saturday Night Live had Bill Clinton. They
Yeah.
never asked John Travolta to do it. So either Lauren Green agreed with me, or
Or he
I
said no.
didn't see him in the role of Clinton. Maybe he learned how to speak properly. But I thought the movie, which yeah, it was, to me, it was an artificial movie. I don't think they depicted the reality of politics as clearly as they should have, and it didn't turn me on.
Okay, I guess that's faint praise. Joel and partner friend, what do you think? Either one of you.
Well, obviously it was not, well, it was obviously a Clinton thing. And I thought it was really well done. It was poignant. It had some great actors in it. And it seems that they had a lot of actors in it that we all know well.
Ah,
Yeah,
So
it was
one-
Mike Nichols. I mean, a lot of actors would give an arm to work with him. And the cast is great.
I have a historical question I thought of just about 10 minutes ago. Is Clinton the only president who was caught having an affair in the White House? We know other presidents did, but he was the only one that was actually caught.
Well, proven. I mean, Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe, who knows?
But
No.
nobody made an issue. I mean, it was there, but nobody made the issue of it and tried to impeach him and all the other stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like England, doesn't it?
6,
Marina.
4, 2, 1. Oh my God.
I think Clinton's affair was revealed not because he had it in the White House, but because there was a special prosecutor appointed who was looking for reasons to somehow find fault with him. It started with Arkansas deal and was going on, and they needed something, at least something. So
And who was the special prosecutor? I don't remember.
Stone.
Oh, Kenneth Starr, right. Famous hitman for the
Mm-hmm.
Republicans in that era.
Yeah, and Kavanaugh was on his team.
Uh-huh, okay. Well, corrupt roots go deep or don't go deep. I don't know. Arlene, are you ready to come clean with how you felt about the movie? You're muted again. Lower left corner of your picture. Can't hear you. Can't hear you yet. You're still muted. Okay. We'll come back to you. It's the lower left corner, the microphone. And it's on the lower, your big screen. There you go.
I did that. Yeah.
Okay.
It keeps muting me back.
Okay. Well, you have something to say, I'm sure, so don't let it happen again. Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, good. I couldn't hear you, and that was bad. But anyway, I don't know if you heard me say that I just loved Travolta doing this. I thought he did such a wonderful job, never lost his accent, and I was very impressed with his acting in this film. And of course, it's so the film itself is so relevant now. I really enjoyed the film a lot because I've been a nervous wreck, of course,
Yeah.
in the last few months.
And did the film make you feel any better about the present? Did it process some of your anxiety?
No. No.
Okay, did it give words, though, to your anxiety?
Yeah, I can't really hear you. I need you to be louder, and I don't know how to do that.
Okay, there should be a microphone. Might be on that microphone. Select a speaker. You might go to that caret above the microphone on the mute button.
I'm looking.
Yeah, lower left corner, mute, and then you go to select a speaker. So try same as system if you're on speaker. If you're on same as system, try speaker. You see that?
No, I'm working on it, though.
Okay, let me
Please
go to
don't
Jeffrey
waste time
Ellison.
with me. I'll figure it out.
Okay, Jeffrey.
I liked it. I thought the Clinton-Hillary dynamic was really powerful and kind of spot on. And I think that the idea that every politician or many of them have, as all of us do, have things that we would like to not reveal to the public. And I thought on another level that it was kind of indicting both the characters, the nominees, as well as the system itself. That the system, which is, and the woman kills herself in a sense because, you know, there's no winning in this situation because both the flaws of the candidates as well as the flaws within the system. But I think I agree with, I think it was Betty who said that I think that we're dealing with something very different right now on a different level than the film is portraying. Because in both of these cases, however flawed they are, these people are essentially good people. And I'm not sure we're dealing with anything like that right now.
Okay, I accept that. I agree. But there's still a resonance of this film today because it takes the issue of the system and the people to task, right? And that's really what it's about. It's amazing how relevant it is today. We can get into that in a moment. Has everybody had a chance to speak? Howard, did you want to speak up? You're muted.
Well, my wife Suzanne watched it and she said that she thought it was a very good movie, but I didn't get into it at all for some reason, and I didn't realize that it was written by some famous person. The writer, I said, "Who the hell wrote this?" It's so wooden. I told everything was. It sounds like they're really reading a script.
Really? Okay.
I don't know why that is. Maybe it could be me. I don't know.
Even Emma Thompson was reading in your mind? That's Sue.
I was pretty impressed with John Travolta.
Yeah.
They were certainly, there was a lot of talent in the movie, but I couldn't get into the story because it didn't. I know a story doesn't have to ring true. It has to be something about it that makes you suspend belief. And I just thought it was just, it's just fiction. Somebody made this up, and it was like a poorly written screen. Yeah, you can say
Usually
something.
I don't talk, but you wanna, Eamon? I thought it was great. I thought it was very true to life, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I had a really different reaction. I don't know why. Howard did.
Howard, did you feel that the character of Henry, the young black man, do you think that was canned?
Oh, I understand what was going on with him. I mean, he didn't want to, they told him, well, you're glad to hear you're on the team, and he said, no, I'm not on the team, and then he was on the team.
But that's the first third of the script or quarter of the script where he is slowly converted as are we. the issue is, are we going to watch him be seduced by the charm of Henry Stanton? Sorry, not Henry. Mr. The Travolta character. He gets charmed, and they slowly chip away. There's that scene in the library in the public school.
I guess Ruxin didn't impress me as somebody who was convincing as he was portrayed in the movie, probably because I don't believe that in real life. How could anybody believe anything that guy says? I know in my own personal life, when I was such a strong supporter of the Democrats against, Bush and people like that, Reagan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I found out that when this stuff came out about Clinton, all kinds of people who I respected were coming out and defending him. And I didn't even know. I was shocked, honestly, that people so dishonest. And that Clinton was such an obvious and then later on he was renting space in the White House, paying people to stay overnight in the Lincoln,
accepting money from them, in the bedrooms.
Clinton Foundation. It was just so corrupt. And I remember I met a Clinton appointee once, and she was so proud. She was one of the Clinton people, and Hillary took care of her and gave her this appointment to some government postal commission, as it happens. It seemed like total corruption to me.
Okay, but at one time you believed it, and isn't that a big part of this movie?
Well, I believed not him. I believed the doctrines. That there should be health care and abortion.
Yeah. Okay, but the point is, you get seduced into being a believer through any number of ways. If it's an ideology that you thought, oh, we should implement that, then they've got you. Henry, he's a very important figure because he's like the young Kathy Bates, Libby. And very early, he says, I'm tired of this guy Larkin I worked for, even though he was a senator, because he just didn't believe it. And I'm looking for a real believer to follow. And he resists the charm of Stanton for a very long time in the movie. He even goes on that plane to New Hampshire, and he's still not convinced, and he still wants to go home the next day, and he gets deeper and deeper into it. And I thought that your welcome aboard on the team thing was a bit overworked. Could have been done more coyly, but COY, that kind of coy. At the same time, all the handlers, knew that Stanton had this charm. He could charm anybody. And they were just waiting to see if this new fish that came into their midst, would be seduced, and when and how. And, they knew what was coming. So that's the joke. It played a little too heavily for my taste. But Henry does admit he wants to believe. He wants to believe. And this is a theme in it, especially when it comes to the Kathy Bates character. I'd like to save discussion of her. But should we talk about did it ring true? Like that discussion of taking a shit in the forest and the doves and the wild boar. Do you think stuff like that, the Billy Bob Thornton role? He was pretty outrageous, and he's there for comic relief. But ultimately, he proves that he has a soul as well, doesn't he? Deep into the movie, he leaves because he can't stand the shit. Why? He leaves for ego because Klein, the Jewish consultant from New York, seems to have replaced him by saying, no, you have to go to the Lubavitcher meeting, send somebody else to Connecticut. So he leaves because he's offended. I know when I'm not wanted. I've been fired a million times, so I'm getting out early. And so just like he got hooked in the beginning because he liked the chatter, he also leaves because he was personally offended. And it's that kind of transactional thing everybody had except Henry. Right? Oh, and his white girlfriend leaves with Billy Bob. We don't see her leaving, but she leaves, and then they're both asked back at the end of the film to help with the campaign after Larry Hagman comes in the scene. So it is very transactional, and you'll notice that that's a word we use a lot about Trump. And loyalty exists one way, to him, but not from him. And transactional is the word for it, tit for tat. Calling Zelensky and says, well, I'll release the arms if you find something dirty on Hunter Biden. And part of the problem today is that it's so common, we're used to it. And the people he's hooked into believing with cult-like passion, right? Very cult-like. They love it. They're there for that show. They want to hear, it's a grievance campaign. And whether or not he has no policy for fixing anything, for fixing immigration, for fixing healthcare, he just says, I'm going to fix it. I'll shut down that war in Ukraine. And how about having the Israelis make peace with the Palestinians? How outrageous can you get to be done in one day? It's like, it's not rational. And we rational people get upset when we're asked to believe this shit. And we can't understand how our fellow Americans, in the flyover states, swallow it up. It's because they're tired of being ignored. And this guy went after them by the lapels. So we're really taking an overview on gullibility and loyalty, and people believe what they want to believe. So let's move on. Any other comments about the political operatives other than Kathy Bates?
Jim?
Yeah.
Not a comment directly about the film, but about today's world. We're here on the East Coast in Pennsylvania, where 60 minutes out of every hour is a political slander ad about somebody.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
Probably in California, you don't get as much because we are, as you know, a very important state.
Well, I'm in California, and all throughout the Dodger game last night, they ran Trump's bashing Kamala ads. And the big thing was she wants to give transgender surgery to immigrants in prison.
Oh, yeah, they've been running that nonstop.
Yeah, time and time again. And where that's a hot button issue for you, you white people who can't believe that somebody else has a different gender identity or different inclinations, it gives you relief to hear that. Oh, he's going to come along and take away that source of irritation because it bothers something inside of me. I'm not going to go psychiatric on you and try and figure out what it is. But early in the campaign, I adopted this method of examining what anybody says. And that is, you have to look where they are insecure and what is the usefulness of this mistaken belief to them. And it's personal. It's like, think of, it was like 10, 15 years ago when the farmer got shot protesting the FBI coming in and not letting this guy and others graze their lands, cattle on federal lands for free. And one guy got killed, there's this whole family that was made heroes by the Republicans, patriots, and it's my land too, but no, it doesn't quite work that way in this world. So it was pretty fundamental for those guys because they've been left alone for 100 years to do what they wanted with the land. And change is threatening to people. And a lot of what Trump is saying is, don't worry about it. It's not going to change on my watch. We're going to restore, like Vance said, we're going to restore America for Americans. Of course, he doesn't mention that just about everybody's an immigrant.
Back to the movie, Jim.
What?
Back to the movie.
Back to the movie, right. It's just too relevant to resist. So let's talk about Henry, because Kathy Bates comes in bitter and cynical. And Henry is the one who started out as a dispassionate disbeliever. And he gets sucked in. And once he's sucked in, he's committed to the team. And he celebrates their wins. He actually sees, he's not convinced even by that library scene where the black man says, I was dyslexic and I'm here learning to read. Did anybody notice Allison Janney, the
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see her fall 3 times?
Yes.
Right on the steps, coming out of the bedroom and leaving. She's comedic, but of course what it's saying is he's a philanderer. That's the bedroom and he's putting on his tie when he's leaving. It's so funny. This is how he seduces people. It gets them. And this is like cult leaders. They get you where you're vulnerable. This man believed in her students. She was so proud of her program. He said, we're going to take it national. He just played to her everything. And that's what cult leaders do. And they loop you in to the point where she's never met the guy and then she sleeps with him 2 hours later. That's quicker than bar night. And that's, despite being funny and she's ridiculous, it shows how his charm works. One way his charm works on people. How about the black family who has the barbecue stall out in the woods or in the countryside?
And a daughter.
And a daughter, well, family.
Yes.
They're an institution in their community, but they and Stanton go way back, decades probably. And, there's a real bond between them. And for them, it's total and complete. And for Stanton, he's sincere about it. He says at one point late in the movie, they're good people, but they're not sophisticated. When he sends the shorter operative with Henry to go see them and ask for the amniocentesis. And he wound up being a believer. Of course, they were paid for it, but still, he didn't want to believe. And of course, the blood test came back with from somebody else's blood, his uncle, whom he told the story about. So the guy is a storyteller. Whenever it's convenient, he'll invoke the right story to get to the right people. And if he has to, he'll falsify a document. His doctor with the long white beard and the robe, that we saw at the Thanksgiving celebration is the one who signed the blood test document. So, even that guy was corrupt because somebody, I think it's Henry, says, well, he doesn't want to stop practicing. He'll lose his license if this comes out. So again, that doctor was collateral damage to what's the political aim here? What are we trying to do? And who will fall before the sword in order so that we may continue on? It's a minor passing thing, but there are lots of collateral damage in this film. But I want to go back. He has, before he leaves his girlfriend to go visit the Stanton, he says, what do you see in him? And he says, or what don't you see in your current job? He said, I'm, the guy I'm working for now, all he does is push legislation in the Senate up so the president can veto it. And that's his job. And, I want to work with people who can get things done, who can really help people. I want to be part of history, and we want to make history. This comes up with other people too. He comes in as a naif, and he doesn't give it up quite. I didn't mark in my notes. By the time the crisis meeting about shitting in the woods comes up, he's part of it. But they bring in even Emma Thompson. Here's the theme. Emma Thompson in that crisis meeting says, yeah, well, we don't play the media game. We tell the truth, and that's what we're going to win on. And that theme is repeated time and time throughout the movie. And that's when they call in Libby to staunch the rumors about this other woman or whatever it is, and this hairdresser myth. And that was a fun bit where they found out the tape was falsified. That was a little bit too easy. But Henry pursues, he's not quite there yet, but he's most of the way there at that point. The Krispy Kreme donut scene, that's very important. Why? Right? It's like Trump flipping burgers at McDonald's, except there's no crowd around. There's no press. It starts out in a very wide shot. Henry sees it from the window of the motel, right? And he just sees the Krispy Kreme shot, parking lot's empty, it's the middle of the night. Camera slowly moves in on the Krispy Kreme. And maybe you can make out the clerk and the customer. And you don't know who it is yet until you hear Travolta's voice, right? And then you realize, oh, Travolta's having a heart-to-heart talk with the donut clerk. And then it's a beautiful shot. Henry comes in, camera keeps moving, and Henry comes in from the right. He walks into their scene. So he magically jumps from the second floor to the ground floor and walks in, but it's very effective. And he's trying to bring him out of there. And Stanton can't resist jawboning with this guy. And then we learn later when we see him get the coffee, he has a limp. Right. And he says he can't get the money to, fix his leg. And that kind of moves Henry because he realizes, hey, maybe this guy is real. And he thinks otherwise. And that's a very important scene. Okay. And then Kathy Bates knows exactly who to go to about the fake tapes because they believe Stanton that it's not him. He didn't have a liaison with her. But Emma Thompson, is willing to believe it. She slaps him in the face when she first learns of it. And it's great that they prove that it's a faked tape. They expose them, but the damage is done. You'll notice when they appear in New York, much later in the movie, campaigning, people say the hairdresser was right, or look what you did to the hairdresser. It's like, even when lies are debunked, the impression still lands. And that's why these operatives are so obsessive about controlling the spin. I have to step away for a moment. I'll be right back. Forgive me, I will be right back.
Talking about Teflon.
Does anybody remember why Kathy Bates killed herself?
Yeah, because she'd kind of idealized the John Travolta character and his wife, and they were willing to out the other person, and she was disappointed.
I never heard of anybody committing suicide because they discover that somebody else is corrupt.
Yeah, but she had a mental health history.
Oh.
She'd been in a mental hospital before, so
Then all
it
bets are
wasn't, there was a predisposition perhaps.
all bets are off.
Yeah,
She was probably vulnerable, and also they brought her back. And when she came back, she believed in them, and they promised her that they are not going to use this smear information. She was part of it, it appears.
What surprised me was that she committed suicide, I think, by killing herself in the heart, which is kind of different than most suicides that use guns in the movies. Most of them just go to the head. And I don't know whether that was a symbol of some sort.
That's interesting.
I just heard a symbol of some sort. What were you referring to?
Well, Kathy Bates got shot in the heart.
Yeah.
I thought it was a stretch that she got upset, or either that or she had a breakdown. And then most suicides that I've seen in the movies, they use the gun in the head, and this was in the heart. And I was wondering if that was a symbol.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Odd choice. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Sorry.
There, because she and Henry are really the moral linchpins of this film. And that's one of the main points I think we should make. And there's an interesting moment. After they prove the phone call was bogus, they're off to New Hampshire to primary, and they're in the helicopter. And they talk about turning this on Harris's, that's the opponent, on that campaign. And he says, no, I'm not going negative. He takes the high ground. So it's interesting how he's not always corrupt and a Machiavel and trying to take advantage of everything that's put in front of him, especially when it's negative and will damage the other side. He doesn't have to.
Isn't that often true in politics, that when people start out, they say, I'm not going to go negative, and then when they get into it, they feel that's the only way they can win. So,
well, it's tough to generalize, It does happen often. Even Kamala Harris is running negative ads about he's unchecked on this, on that. But that's not mean negative. That's policy issues. It's not like calling her, as somebody did at the Madison Square Garden movie, a Samoan Malaysian dumbass person, you know. Well, she's neither Samoan nor Malaysian. Her mother's from India, her father's from Jamaica or the Caribbean. You know, they get it wrong all kinds of ways. But the point is they're insulting her background. And it sticks with the people it was meant to stick with. The point is, what's the fallout from those undecideds? How many undecideds do they win with comments like that? I think it's just red meat for the base. But you'll notice there's no mention of the fringe groups, right? It's just the Republicans and the Democrats. And it was a very different time until Ralph Nader got George Bush elected, you know. And there was another third-party candidate, Ross Perot, you know, who had no idea of politics. And he made it to a debate, but that was about it. No, he made it onto the ballot, I think. But it's interesting that Stanton stakes out that territory of, no, I'm not going to go negative on them. And then 2/3 of the way through the movie, Ollie, the barbecue guy, comes to Henry and says, my daughter's pregnant. And she says, Stanton did it. And it's a very brief scene. And he runs back to, there's only one person who knows about it. And it's not, who knows about it? It's not Billy Bob Thornton. I guess he goes to Stanton himself. And that's when Stanton says, you and the other guy go down and work on this yourselves. But it begins to get personal there because these are his friends. And is he going to try and hoodwink them? We don't know. But Henry, this is the first distasteful thing he's had to do, right? And the other guy does all the talking. All Henry does is give him a pen. And he doesn't even answer with a nod when Ollie says, he's at we're friends, right? And that's how pure a soul Henry is. He just can't lie to anybody's face. He doesn't like the masquerade. And then when they're driving away, he throws up because he disgusts himself, you know, unspoken. And you know, that's good filmmaking. You don't have to, you know he's disgusted with himself. And then the famous scene on the radio with Rob Reiner, who plays such a great Florida Jewish radio host. Embarrassing, you know, the stereotype is embarrassing, but we've heard it, you know, the accent is understandable to New York and Florida Jews. And Harris, you know, does this evasive thing about, what do you mean? I do talk policy. No, you don't. You just contradicted yourself. And then he has a heart attack on air, and they regret it. And these people are humble because they're realists. You see, the operatives, they know when Picker, that's the Larry Hagman character, asks for a blood drive to help the guy, it's a wonderful PR success for his taking the ticket. And they said, we should have thought of that ourselves. And Picker says he appears to be quite virtuous. I will not advertise. Stanton wants to pull the negative ads on his opponent because, you know, I'm just not going to do this to him. So again, he's the righteous guy doing the right thing, trying to run a clean campaign, which again, you know, it's like, do you believe him at that point? Well, yeah, because that's action. He's not just saying, oh, I changed my mind. No, I'm going to do something that's actually damaging to me by not damaging my opponent. It's funny that Picker's speech at the hospital, he says, I think we all need to calm down now, or this thing will spin out of control. Well, this country's been in hysteria ever since Trump was elected to the presidency. You know, that's 8 years of insanity. And that's why we're all feeling so spun up about this. It's a great way. It portends a lot. And the negative ads are portrayed as a staged wrestling match. Nobody really believes it. It's just meant to whip people up. And of course, the Democrats aren't as good at it as the Republicans. And that's why they do a better job of stirring the pot. And we learn then soon after the Geraldo show that Libby was a campaign worker for Picker in 1978. So she was disabused of his, she left his campaign at some point. But she says, and this is in the scene in the kitchen when she confronts them with the news about Picker, that, she does this research into his brother-in-law, who's a playboy in Miami, lots of gay men around the swimming pool there, who says, oh, you should talk to, what's his name? Lorenzo Delgado. And they seek him out. And of course, he's dying of AIDS. But they lied to get in there. He thinks they're from the Picker campaign. So again, it's like, it's when they're driving the car, Libby says, we're going down uncharted territory. We've never been here before. And she rants and raves about all the bad things this means, what it means for them. And he says, stop it already. I get your point. He doesn't like masquerading and deceiving people, even here. And the flat looks on their face when they don't say no, they go along with the ruse that they're from the Picker campaign. And that's when we really hit the fan with Libby saying, this is a test of us and them once they find out and they present the goods. Stanton and his wife Sue want to go public. And Libby says, well, that's not my standard of ethical behavior. This is hurting someone. And they talk about the Eagleton affair, which was the vice president who had shock therapy for depression at some point. And he left the ticket, and he cost the Democrats the election. But it's this notion of dirt. Libby says, I'll dust the creeps off of you, but I won't do dirt. In other words, I won't initiate anything negative for you. And she says, we win because of our ideas. Now, today, we all laugh at that, don't we? Right? Policy discussions are so unimportant, even though Kamala Harris was criticized because she didn't talk policy in the beginning. Of course, Trump never talked policy. He made claims of what he'd do, but that's not policy. And then there's this other issue. If we don't disclose this information, the press is going to get it. So why not put it to good use? Because we know we're sincere people. It's a choice. That's the moral choice. And there's this famous question in philosophy. It's called the streetcar decision. You're the operator of a streetcar and you lose control of it. It's going down the tracks and it's headed to kill 5 people who are working on the tracks. You can divert it to a spur and kill only 1 person. What should you do? Right? You have to pick one option. And when this came out about 20, 30 years ago, it was like a great philosophical thought experiment. Where do you stand? Who do you protect? Is 1 life worth 5? Is 5 lives worth 1? And the philosophers overlooked one thing, that doing nothing is a choice, right? So everything is a choice that we make. All our behaviors are. It's just because you didn't, because you switch the rails and kill the 1 person, you chose to do that, but you do choose to do nothing and hit the other 5 if that's your option.
Thank you.
So bless you. So that's a question of how we do make choices, even by not making choices. Omissions are commissions of purpose. And she throws the false blood test proof at him. And and she really lets him have it. You think you're special because you've escaped this, this fake behavior. And this goes to the heart of Travolta's performance. I wanted to say this about it. I didn't know he could act that well. He finally found a role where his smarminess fit him. He could do that well because that's how he was. As a closeted man, he had to protect himself by being everybody's, best friend. And, and the wild heterosexual from the disco movie, blanking on the title. But this fit him. He knew the moves that this man made, and that's why he was convincing for me. I didn't care about the accent. Yes, it was very good, but the point is, I believe the man portraying this person believed it. I believe the actor's promotion of that emotion. It was convincing, and the tears felt real most of the time. And that's Travolta's achievement. It's like Christopher Nolan in Oppenheimer finally found a film that was worth his talent. Travolta finally found a way to use his skill as an avoider, as dancing around issues. I guess we all have that to a certain extent in our lives. But she says, I'm not going to let you get away with that. You've been doing it all your life, seducing people like me, not literally, but we followed you because we thought you were the guy we'd make history with, that you'd get something done. And this tests both of us, right? So you're not special. And she delivers the file she has about Stanton's. How did he get off out of jail? Because he knew the mayor who sent the police onto the protesters in 1968, who called the senator who really got him released. So that's kind of a dirty story. And here's sort of what the movie's about. Henry says, oh, my mother's in Beverly Hills with her second husband, right? And he went to Hotchkiss in New York, a very expensive, fine private school. So Henry doesn't understand working people's ways, especially the Black people's ways. And he's kind of lost in a rarefied world of politics because that's all he knows. And, Henry was looking for a father, and Stanton was it. Like he says to his girlfriend, I just want someone I can believe in. Right? And in the car, Libby, Kathy Bates, writes something on this folder, and she gives it to him, says, here, I'm not going to use this. It's all the evidence against Stanton. Give it to them. I'm done. And she says, she said, look at that beautiful moon up there. Isn't that beautiful? Well, that's reflected light from the sun. I was always looking for the sun to animate me, to make me feel beautiful and meaningful and to brighten my life. And it doesn't exist anymore for me. But that's the price you pay to lead. You lose the sun. You lose your ideals. She says goodbye. He doesn't really know what's coming. None of us do. I didn't the first time. And you feel for her the next morning. I mean, it's kind of like clumsily told with the flashing lights on him in the bed in the hotel. But the key scene is going beyond that. They go to visit Picker, Larry Hagman, and tell him that there's this information, and if we didn't use it, somebody else will. But here's the file. We're not going to use it. But he acknowledges somebody will find this out. You found it out in a day. So, to his credit, Stanton tries to find the middle ground between use it or save it. It's not the issue; it's the victory he's seeking. So he secured victory for himself by going to Stanton. He's gone around Kathy Bates and done something that's less immoral. He has to say, yes, I ordered them to find out, but now I have to decide which track do I let the trolley roll on. And he gets out of it because he goes to Stanton. And there's this lovely scene with Hagman. Who knew he could be that genuine? where he says, "You're right, I'm done, and the worst thing is I have to tell my boys about all this." And they leave, and as they're walking away, Henry says, "I'm going to leave the campaign," and Stanton pleads with him again. So he's lost. You see, Henry was a believer, and now he's not because of the dirt he's had to do, for his boss. And he signed on so he wouldn't have to do that kind of thing. And he too needs a star, but when Stanton begs him, the camera lingers on a close-up of Henry, and he doesn't answer the question. Come on, tell me you're going to do it. You can't not do it. And then we go to the dancing at the inaugural ball. That says he won, and Henry's there smiling, which meant he made a decision. Not that the ends justify the means, but sometimes achieving a moral position or something efficacy means doing something that you may not care for. Working for a distasteful boss who happens to be good, but he's sort of become one of them and invested his sunlight in Stanton. I just thought this was a wonderfully structured film. I really wanted to show it now because every scene resonates with us, whether it's the pig shitting in the woods or the Haitians eating the dogs and cats, it's all outrageous. But our lives now are real. We've seen the most outrageous nonsense being thrown out as fact for 8 years. And sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but if I do, I can't help it. Please counteract, what I'm saying. But it sort of it plays out in a fable. Consider this a metaphor for our times. It doesn't matter how accurate it was story-wise, and the sexual peccadillo of Bill Clinton was a lot more specific to Monica, although who knows. But Stanton in this film is a serial adulterer, and that's played for laughs sometimes, and other times it's like, oh my God, they keep coming out of the woodwork with this guy. But they still they're still loyal to him because they believe in him.
Jim, I had a question.
Yeah.
Why did he get somebody else to be the blood test?
Well, because it means he did have sex with her.
That's okay. So that was your assumption.
Yeah.
He may have been guilty.
Well, but
okay.
He may have been guilty, and that's the kind of stuff that Kathy Bates is objecting to. This is typical shenanigans for you. She says to him in that kitchen scene there. It's a great scene. Lots of ups and downs, and the balance goes one way or the other several times until she pulls out the file about his how he got off from the arrest in Chicago. And then she walks out. So, he is who he is, but he will do his best to help people in need. So what are you going to do? What would any of us do? And I'm sure in our careers, we've had to follow instructions from people we didn't respect because they were for the better, or even, do things we didn't think were for the benefit of others by somebody we did respect. I mean, nobody's 100% clean of any of this, and certainly John Travolta proves that. Even Emma Thompson, who's the long-suffering wife, she throws in with, no, we have to use it right now. She's as cold-hearted, Kathy Bates would say, as he is. There's no question. Of course, their whole lives, 25 years of campaigning are behind this particular campaign. It's sink or swim for him. So, the film doesn't really answer anything other than Kathy Bates is the moral compass of the movie. It was just too much for her. She left the field. She couldn't do this anymore. Henry could. Of course, Henry was 30 years old and young and, wasn't mentally unstable. He did lose his girlfriend, including Daisy, it looks like. So there's just so much to this film and to the characters. if you watch it again, I think you'll see that the characters are developed very carefully in every scene. There's a purpose, and it's always more than one person. You know, it's like the team can't tell Mrs. Stanton about the affair, they talk around it. But she knows what they're talking about. Some dirt has come up. You know, and it's two ways. One, the team doesn't have the courage to tell her, and she has the wisdom to know what they're talking about. And she takes the medicine and she says, go for it. You know, it's there's a lot of unstated stuff like that you do with performance. And she's just so good. You know, the right amount of outrage. And you know, Kathy Bates was really convincing at the end there, where she just had it.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel for her. You know, she's the hero of the piece because she, to the very end, she's the one who wants to speak truth to power, even if it harms her side. So that's why I've been so excited about this for a couple of months and I've been talking about it. I'm sorry we didn't have a bigger crowd, but people are trick-or-treating. And I don't know what the next film is going to be. We have a lot of good ones coming up. There is a film that's going to be in the theaters this weekend called A Real Pain. And it's Jesse Eisenberg and one of the Arquette brothers, I think, are two Jews who go back to Europe to seek their grandfather's roots, their cousins. And it's quite a different take on the film of return by Jewish grandchildren. And it's supposed to be quite good. And it's in the theaters. It's nice to see a film every now and then that you might have an interest in. When it comes online, we'll do a discussion of it because I've heard very good things about it.
What's the name of it again? A Real Pain?
A Real Pain. Like his cousin's a real pain. You know, his cousin tries to ruin the trip all the time. And I'll tell you some of the others that I'm thinking about. Let me see here. Can I do that? I have to do it like this. Sorry.
Appropriate that we watch this on
We have some time here, so I want to share this with you.
We watch this on Halloween. Masks in the
There it is. Oh, wonderful drama with Helena Bonham Carter. It's kind of a period piece like Merchant Ivory, like Remains of the Day, set at the turn of the century. Cider House Rules with the young, oh, blanking on his name, directed by Lasse Hallström, and Michael Caine is in it. There's this film, I don't think we'll get it, will be in the theaters, All Shall Be Well, about the very senior lesbian couple, and when one of them dies, her family members want the apartment that her partner's been living in for 40 years. And A Real Pain. Sing Sing, the Coleman Domingo prison drama about prisoners who form an acting troupe, has not hit streaming yet. And Love in the Time of Cholera. Michael Newell, a British director. It's quite good. It's a lifelong love story, and they don't get to be with each other till the end. So those are some of the films that are on my mind. I'm sorry, it's going to take a month or two to get Real Pain, but things will come up. And I don't know when our next film will be. I'll try and do it the Thursday before Thanksgiving, but I've got to clear that with the powers that be at Wilshire. So, but you will hear from me, and I'll give you less than 3 weeks notice, like this one, and more than one, I promise.
Thank you, Jim.
See you
Thanks very
soon.
much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you.